Hi there, I'm the Reverend Danny Crosby, a Unitarian minister serving congregations in Altrincham and in Urmston in the northwest of England. And I offer this devotion as a balm for the heart, for the mind, for the spirit, and for the soul. And it's titled Our Inner Library: Impermanence and What Sustains Us. So here we are at the beginning of another year, standing together at the beginning of another year, although we're actually 4 days into it already. None of us knowing what the future will hold, for the future is unwritten. The book of life is an open book waiting for us to mark it with our stories. And when it's written, to look back on it and give it whatever meaning we can find. Yes, the pages truly are blank, and for some this can appear a little bit of a scary proposition, I guess. But should we fear the unknown? Surely the excitement and the energy of life is in the unknown and the unknowing. We know what the past has been, or at least we have a perspective on our past. Whatever we may have thought of the last year, we have lived this year. We have had the privilege of another year in the book of life. I wonder what will go into the book at the end of 2026. Now, I've been thinking of books a lot recently, how they tell a story, of something. And we all have our own tales to tell. I've recently enjoyed a kind of mini public sharing library that's like a box outside the town hall in Altrincham. It's part of the Oye art collective that's taken over the place. I have placed books in it myself, many of which have been taken, all but one actually, and I've placed several in there. I wonder, the books that we share and the books that we lend and the books that we borrow and the books that we bring back, I wonder what these books say about those who lend and those who borrow the books. I believe that sharing the books we read is a wonderful and beautiful way of sharing ourselves, although in this sense it's done anonymously. We don't know who lent the book when we borrow it, and I think there's something rather beautiful about that. So I'll keep replacing books in there myself. And maybe I should get one or two out, maybe. We shall see. This year, interestingly, I've discovered this morning actually, has been designated the National Year of Reading. People in the United Kingdom are invited to rediscover the joy of reading. And I would say more than enjoy it, but to share what they're reading. It's not a pleasure to be kept to yourself. I read a lot, but you know something, I rarely read fiction. So maybe that's something I should do more of. Maybe I should rediscover the joy of fiction. Maybe I should borrow one or two fictional books from the little box outside of Oye. What do you reckon? Outside Altrincham Town Hall. I think I will. If I forget, remind me later in the year. So it's lovely to have these lending libraries. But you know, we all have our own inner library too, our personal, our internal library. I recently discovered a very beautiful French phrase, which, apologies for my terrible French pronunciation here. Miss Pickard would be very horrified, my old French teacher. The term is bibliothèque intérieure, which means your inner library. It's an invisible shelf that we carry inside of ourselves, a shelf filled with every story that has shaped our lives. I wonder what are the stories that have shaped your life in the past year. Would you like to share it? The inner library contains every book that we've ever read, everything that has touched our heart and our soul, all the heartbreaks and struggles that we've survived and grown through, every quote remembered and everything we've heard that shaped our souls, all those memories that have made us who we are. All these experiences, you know, are alive in our inner library. They sing the song that tells who we are and what we have lived through, what has shaped us. These stories remind us of who we really are and where we have been on the journey of life. Remembering, of course, that a journey is what we do or where we go in one day. So we have lived through another 365 journeys last year, and we've already begun to embark on another 365 this year. It's already the 4th of January. So as the new year begins, it's vital to look back and recognise what is on the shelf of our inner library. There have been tough times. I've had my share. There have been incredible things too. So now we get to begin a new book, one that is yet unwritten. We have been blessed with another year, and we can place last year's book on the shelf now. I know that life grows richer by the year, even though I'm not often aware of this. Well, not until I share my story, or usually actually. And that's the key, you know. We are not isolated beings. We do not journey alone. We are here to lend our personal libraries to one another. Just like the little box outside the town hall in Altrincham. That little lending library, we're here to share our tales too. And in sharing our stories, we encourage one another to journey on together. Yes, we share our struggles, but we also share our joy and our laughter of our lives well lived. It is so vital to remind each other who we truly are. So let's begin by sharing our inner libraries with one another. For our stories truly are our life's blessings. We carry our stories with us, you know, through impermanence and the ever-changing nature of life. And of course, impermanence is the beauty and the energy of life. Life is forever changing and transforming into something new. Nothing ever stays exactly the same, and nothing is ever repeated in exactly the same way again. An idea beautifully expressed by the ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus some 2,500 years ago. Heraclitus said, among many other things by the way, everything flows, nothing stands still. No one ever steps in the same river twice, and nothing endures but change. We don't step in the same river twice because the river is not the same and we're not the same. So it's never the same. What he's saying is that the only constant thing in life is change. That life is constantly in flux and that everything in life is impermanent. Sounds very Buddhist in many ways, doesn't it? As I look back at the year that has passed, so much seems so very different, and yet, in truth be told, much is the same. I have a few more scars, no doubt, and I've experienced some unexpected blessings too. I have stories to share, and often with a glint of humour. Would you like to share yours with me too? As I look at the world in which I live and I witness what disturbs me, so much does too. But then, isn't that always the case? Division and fear does seem to be on the increase. Instability too, or so that is the way that life is portrayed. People do seem anxious. They're living with these fears of what might be, of what life might be. Well, that's the way that life is portrayed, at least. And yet, as I walk around the town in which I live every single day, life is much the same. People are much the same as they have always been. Yes, everything does change, and yet everything still seems much the same, you know. It may not be portrayed that way, but the lives of ordinary people are very much like this. People are the same as they have always been. Let's not become victims of our own bad dreams, for we have them too. I've had a couple actually recently as I've been a bit ill and I've had these kind of fever dreams, so I know about those, waking up with a strange feeling. The other day I was feeling a little bit better after being very ill over Christmas. I took Molly, my little dog, out in the morning and I took her out again later in the afternoon to the 2 local parks and bumped into many of the people I usually do. There was much conversation and sharing of concern. There was also an awful lot of laughter as we shared our joys too. And you know what? It lifted my spirits and showed me I was once again that my health was returning actually as I was laughing away. So, because you know that when you're in better health, you're always in good humour. Thank goodness for that, eh? All the people I met and passed through their own Christmases, you know, they were on the other side of Christmas, about to step into the new year as it was. Some things had changed, and yet everything was much as it always was. Now, after the new year, I started to feel ill again, but I seem to be revived again today. I think returning to work and leading worship and sharing this, what I'm sharing with you in worship today, has really put me in the place I need to be. It's what I'm here. It's part of my story that I share. I'm writing my tale again and sharing it with others. So, of course, I feel very much more in the spirit of things. It's how I'm meant to live. This is who I really am. This is my story, my purpose, my meaning. In the changing nature of life, it's one of those things that sustains me. Life is constantly changing. Nothing stays exactly the same, and no moment is exactly like any other. We all experience these moments differently too. We each bring our pasts into each moment, our shelves, our stories, and how we have been in the past, and our stories that we bring to the present impacts on the present moment too. It doesn't exist in isolation. It's not like little units of time. Life just doesn't exist like that. Nothing is separate in existence. And yet, having said all that, despite the ever-changing nature of our material lives, there are things that do seem permanent, that do not change, that do not become destroyed, if you like, by whatever happens in the material life. There are some things that hold us and sustain us despite the constant changing nature of life. The last 20 odd years of my life have proven this to me. There have been three unchanging things that have held me and sustained me and kept me open to life itself despite the uncertainty of existence. Things that have held me even during my most deeply painful experiences. And these three, they're timeless words, just three simple words: faith, hope, and love. Three simple words that always seem to be there in my heart at the beginning of a year. Much of what I place on the shelf in my inner library, they tend to be tales about these three. Yes, they are tales of faith, tales of hope, and tales of love. They are abundant on my shelf. Now, of course, it was Paul of Tarsus in his 13th chapter of his first letter to the Corinthians who named these three that have held and led certainly led me the last 20 years. And it's quite interesting when you think about, it's a very long letter. The letters were long in those days. We live in an age now where we're constantly sending messages or writing little messages and letters to one another. But in those days, to send a letter was a big public event that would be shared with lots of people. It wasn't a private thing like a little text message or a WhatsApp message is today. It's almost like a big group WhatsApp, if you like, but it would be a long, engaging letter that would be read and shared. The story would be shared as it's been shared for the last 2,000 years. And it's held many through times of struggle these last 2,000 years, through many storms of life. There is something eternal about this 13th chapter. Something universal too. It's not just something for those that follow the Christian faith. I think there's something timeless and eternal and universal that speaks to all people at all times, regardless of faith or not. And I believe these ideas were at work before Paul wrote the letter, or the person that is called Paul who wrote the letter. They are eternal truths that can be relied upon, but only if we nurture and strengthen them. But we can depend on these three: faith, hope, and love. But when we talk about faith, hope, and love, or stories of them, what do we mean by that? Well, here are some thoughts. For me, faith is about trusting in life itself. It's about living as openly and as honestly as you possibly can. It's about accepting that there is pain in life, but there is also so much joy. That's faithful living. It is realizing that the mere fact that we exist at all is a blessing and a gift. The book of life again. And seeing it this way allows me to sing the joy of living in all of life's mystery. It's also, though, about seeing that we're all in this together, that we all live in the one lifeboat of life. We do not sail the ship alone, and we need to connect as much as possible in this boat of life that we all share and live in. We need to ensure that our lifelines are secure on the boat, and they're not worn or frayed around the edges. For we will need to hold on to them when the storms come. We cannot let go. Why, you may well ask? Well, because these are the things that sustain us in the troubles and the vicissitudes of life. For life itself, physical existence, doesn't offer us much certainty, you know. But this should not lead to despair, or at least a person should not stay in despair. I wonder how many stories of faith that you could share, that you could place on the shelf in your inner library in the last year of your life. There are many stories of faith I've heard, and there's many stories of faith that I've experienced, and I'll share them with you. Not right now, but I will. Hope, of course, is the second of those eternal universal truths. Hope is rooted, of course, in despair. They're linguistically linked, j'espère and désespère. Hope grows from the same place that despair can grow from. But if you live faithfully, hope comes, you see. If you live lovingly, hope comes. To live in hope is to believe that if we live with conviction and compassion, we can effect positive change in this, our world, even if we ourselves do not get to see it to its full fruition, but we can live through it. Hope is about planting those seeds when and wherever we can, with all that we meet, everywhere we go. To live with hope is to live with the attitude that the future is genuinely open, possible, to live with potential and possibility. The God of my understanding works with each and every one of us, guides each and every one of us, but life is left open. I do not believe that anything is predetermined or preordained. I just don't believe that. I believe in the Lord of divine love that draws us on out of ourselves, but allows us freedom to develop. I accept the past has power. I have a strong sense of history. That's important too, to learn from that. That said, I do not believe that the past absolutely defines what happens in the future. That things are inevitable. Nothing is inevitable. For the future is unwritten. And you know what? I think there are many books of life waiting to be written by our living and our being. For our inner shelves can hold so much more of hope. So much more. For life is definitely a journey worth taking. Even during its toughest moments, it's a journey worth endeavouring. Yes, we all feel despair at times. We all live with uncertainty. But the beacon of hope is there to call us on, to lure us on in love. I was thinking of the book of Proverbs, which reminds me, where there is no vision, i.e. no hope, the people perish. Hope is a vital lifeline in life. It both holds us and sustains us in the storm. It is an eternal and a universal principle, and one that requires nurture. There are many stories of hope that have yet to be placed on the shelf of my inner library, and I'm going to be placing them all year long. I invite you to do the same. There is room for more hope. Place your stories of hope on your inner library and share those stories with one another. Inspire one another. It's the only loving way to live. And what about love? How can love sustain us? By the way, I'm not necessarily talking of romance here, although that's always pleasant, isn't it? I'm talking about spiritual love. Spiritual love is that power that connects us to our true selves, that connects us to one another, that connects us to the life that we share, and that what connects us to all life. Love is what I myself may call God, that power that is greater than all and yet present in each. It is our task to bring that love to life. through our human being. It is love that powers the lifeboat that we all live in, I guess. It's love that puts wind in the sails. Love is about caring deeply and passionately about life itself. It's a passion. And that requires attention. It is a lifeline that requires nurture. Love reminds me that we do not live for ourselves alone, and we do not live by ourselves alone. No one is an island. Or as Kurt Vonnegut once put it, one human being is no human being. We are here to share. The universal and eternal truth is that we need love. We need the care and the companionship of others in order to fully experience what it is to be fully alive, to live in and by love. For by ourselves alone, we are never truly alive. We come alive when we share our stories. And there are many stories of love that have been placed on the shelf of my inner library this year, and there will be many more, and they will come alive when I share them. So if we live by these three, faith, hope, and above all love, we will know what it means to truly live and experience the full joy of living, even in the dark days. It will shine some light. The beginning of a new year is a time for new beginnings, a time for hope of what might be, and a time to reflect on what has already been before us, and a time to share. It's a time to take stock of our inner libraries, the resources that carry us through life, our stories of faith and hope and love, those stories that sustain us through struggle and inspire us to write more stories and to share stories, both new and old. I was told by a congregant in Urmston this morning, she's had a bit of time off work and she's written a book. She's going to share that story. She told me after this morning service, based on what I'm sharing with you here. What a wonderful thing to share, and what a wonderful use of her time. It moved me and inspired me. You never know, I might write myself. It inspired me to look forward with freshness with despair, a new hope, a fresh hope, a new love, a fresh hope, a new faith, a fresh faith. So let's look forward with new eyes, with fresh eyes. Let's look back and learn from our past, and commit to live more faithfully, hopefully, and lovingly from this past. Let's learn to live with an increased sense of faith, hope, and love. Whatever this year brings us, let's resolve as individuals and as communities to build a home of faith, hope, and love for one another. And let's share our stories of faith, hope, and love with each other. Let's reveal our inner libraries to one another and inspire each other. Let's lend our stories to one another. Let's begin again this day and every day. Let's always remember to begin again in love. Amen. And I'm going to end with some words about beginnings by Edward Searle. It's a kind of blessing. And you know, we need to bless more. And we can all bless. And we bless by giving ourselves wholeheartedly to life. Always there is a beginning. A new day, a new month, a new season, a new year. Forever the old passes away. A newness emerges from the richness that was. Nothing is ever lost in the many changes time brings. What was, in some way, will be, though changed in form. Know this moment is a beginning, and your lives, individually and together, are full of richness, of freshness, of hope, and of promise. So as we step forward into the new year, may we do so in faith and hope and love. And let's share our stories of these three. And may we do so in all that we feel, in all that we think, in all that we say, and in all that we do. Amen.